Hey boys and girls, how you doing family? Oh my god, it's been more than enough days since we didn't upload, but we are working to our project you will see soon too. So please be gentle. George today, and we are coming back to you with the top 10 games of 2022 as this year is back in the past already. A huge warning is that all you will see on the video is based by my opinion. I would gladly like to hear yours down in the comment after the video. Take your food and enjoy our 10 video games. Let's go! We are already on February of 2023, while we left with 2022 back in the past. It would be worth to mention some of the best games which were released this year. We could really say that 2022 had the potential to be the biggest year for new video games since 2017, when huge diamonds were released such as Breath of the Wild, Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil 7 and much more. Unfortunately, a big issue for 2022 was big delays on games like Breath of the Wild 2. Even that way, we managed to see 77 games being released, giving us the opportunity to choose from a huge variety of games. Number 10. Mario Rabbids Spark of Hope. Who could imagine that Mario could work alongside with Rabbids? Yet, the developers made a decision and took the game to another level. Mario Rabbids Spark of Hope is even better from the first one, with Mario and friends joined by new characters Edge, Rabbids Rosalina and Bowser in an action-adventure turn-based strategy game worthy of being one of the best games of 2022. In a year full of excellent turn-based strategy games, Sparks of Hope stands out for the emphasis it places on movement within the scope of its tactical combat. The game gives great importance to a player's movement economy, not only creating a diverse variety of movements during your turn, but we could say that allows you of movements influence the action economy and perform attacks, giving you the sense that every movement it really matters. Too often, moving from point A to point B is the most boring part of tactical turn-based games, but Spark of Hope makes it the most exciting part of each battle. Adding to that, Sparks of Hope builds on the success of its remarkable predecessor with a tactical combat that remains approachable in terms of understanding how it works, but enjoyable, challenging in how difficult it ultimately becomes. The game encourages you to think through the consequences of every movement and attack, rewarding a sound strategy. Much like Kingdom Battle, Sparks of Hope is charming as well, as voice acting brings the memorable personalities of the Rabbids to life in oftentimes hilarious ways. Number 9. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Of course, this game couldn't be missing from the list. As a kid from 90s. I grew up playing video games like that all the years. I fell in love with them and I was really happy seeing games like that are released till nowadays. Arcade games such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that were placed in most of the buildings back in the days were extremely difficult to be beaten even if you were only at the first level. The Shredder's Revenge is exactly something like that, a game to give tribute to all these arcade games that were forgotten through years. It's you and your friends fighting with 4 Ninja Turtles without even fearing a trip to the change machine again. The game is built with all this vintage style, bringing memories of our childhoods, sitting on our chair, our favorite corner, probably with our favorite food, playing for hours after school with one of those infinite weekend afternoons ahead of you. Number 8. Total War Warhammer 3. Total War Warhammer 3 is the third and final game in the Total War Warhammer series being developed by a creative assembly. The finale of a grand operatic fantasy war trilogy, this huge-scale, high-stakes strategy game sees 8 factions of gloriously overwrought demons, dwarves, undead, and ogres fight epic battles and siege to build and secure their empires, an absurdly generous sandbox for Warhammer fans to play in. We would say that the main thing in Warhammer all these years was how surprises us every time with more and more additions, while the imaginary build of worlds never ends. Creative Assembly is closing his trilogy with an amazing way, new tricks, a lot of fights, blood, and most importantly, a world in which the main role is you and only you. Number 7. Stray. It could have just been the cat game, but Stray is a memorable work of science fiction that shows how seeing a game world from a different perspective can make you think differently too. As a cat, you explore robot shanty town with graceful leaps and battling pose. Half-open windows become opportunities, objects balanced perilously close to a ledge become temptations. By placing a cat, a creature of nature, an animal which always chases freedom, into a tightly controlled character from a human being, it will always lead in a specific path. You will understand something that all cats persons already know. You can never tame a cat. Your orange tabby can scratch up carpets, ruin couches, knock over household items, and make those uniquely falling leaves into tight spaces. Number 6. Splatoon 3. Many people said that Splatoon 3 has the cruise control since the first game was released. The truth is that Splatoon 3 is pretty similar with the second one, with small changes which makes the game better and gives more perfection to its characteristics. Of course, as you did in the previous ones, you are still going to be battle other punky teenagers for superiority, coating the map in your national colors with a variety of esoteric water guns that dispense massive oily payloads of ink in a variety of different shapes, ink shotguns, pistols, sniper rifles, and so on. Even though the innovations in the combat will be spotted only by the OG players of Splatoon, it still gives you the joy while you try to shoot all these punk teenagers by your color. Being a copy or not, Splatoon 3 is the best of the trilogy, while the developers are showing us that every new game is a perfection from the previous ones. And you know what? As a gamer, all I want to see from them is that specific thing. Working on your games, making them better and better. For this reason, in my opinion, Splatoon 3 is on the top 10 of the best games in 2022. Number 5. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Even though the Xenoblade series were ignored a lot from the RPG players, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came to take back the throne. Of course, always with rich stories for you to chase and live, amazing worlds you will not be worried if you get lost on them, and systems in the gens today, we would really say that fairly is one of the best games in 2022. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was the mainstream moment fans had always hoped for, and it was completely earned. The Switch exclusive offers a rich story about soldiers coming to terms with who the true enemies are, the oppressive powers that seize them as pawns in a conflict they don't need to die for. With stunning landscapes, fully realized character arcs, and excellent MMO-like combat, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 made sure that no one passes over the series again. Number 4. Horizon Forbidden West. When I first played Horizon, I was really confused to say the truth. I mean, come on. To wrap your mind around the story of Horizon is a little bit hard. You control a Neolithic woman from the caves in a prehistoric America in which huge robot dinosaurs are living on. You'll fight them over with a spear built from serrated silicon chips. Oh, and as you play, you'll explore huge underground facilities which are probably abandoned laboratories from a more modern human race. The original game, which arrived in 2017, did a fantastic job of splitting together all of these wild plot threads, and that diligence continues in Forbidden West. The game seems pretty similar to the previous one, an open world game fighting huge robots, T-Rexes, but my advice is to stick more to the story first, as the story unravels many mysteries lurking in this post-apocalyptic world. Number 3. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer plus Warzone. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 brings back the nostalgia of the old lobbies we were lost back in the days for hours. It's taken what was already a mechanically solid multiplayer game and improved on it with a weapon customization system that's almost limitless in its possibilities, and its new focus on bigger maps with ton of players has paid off big time. The huge maps manage to control the unlimited chaos, giving you a more balanced way to enjoy the game. Of course, this is something new on Call of Duty lobbies, different from the usual loads of modes, but they let the excellent weighty gunplay to shine. On the other hand, Call of Duty Warzone, while it was built on the ruins of the first one, it was a very good change from the Battle Royale of Call of Duty. Its new map isn't the most exciting outside of being the biggest ever brought to Warzone, but great additions like proximity chat and an updated ping system change things up and brings new life to the struggle for survival. And while adding backpacks as lootable gear may have slowed down looting in general, the new take on the Gulag creates some memorable moments if you can convince your fellow prisoners to team up against a common enemy for the greater good. Number 2. God of War Ragnarok. Of course, if you already watched my review about this game, you already know my opinion that probably the best game on working on character development, giving an amazing feeling to every gamer who will decide to finish this masterpiece. God of War Ragnarok is the culmination of a character arc that just a few years ago sounded like a ludicrous suggestion. And yeah, developer Sony Santa Monica managed to pull off what felt like an impossible feat by giving a journey that shows Kratos, the one-time Greek god of war known for brutality and absolute dedication to death and destruction, find balance as a father, a friend, and champion for the future of the oppressed in the 9 Norse realms. This journey takes place in the time of Ragnarok, the destruction of the world of humans and gods, while Kratos is trying to guide his son Atreus not to follow his past self, not to be ruled by his anger. With the benefit of this life experience and emotional growth, as well as kindness and love shown to him by his wife, Kratos finds himself better equipped to serve as a guiding hand for his son than ever. But it comes at a time when his son desperately seeks to forge his own path, which requires him to step out of his father's shadows. This often fraught dynamic is what carries Kratos and Atreus through an odyssey that brings them both to blows with Odin, Thor, and other Norse gods, each of which is facing their own demons, making their own mistakes. God of War Ragnarok is a story of one father learning not to hold on too tight, but while another uses his power on his family for his selfish deeds. It's a story of a son understanding the value of wisdom and that comes from experience, while another tries to break a cycle of self-destruction. Number 1. Elden Ring. As I said in my Ragnarok review, Elden Ring and Ragnarok were games of the year, both of them. The only fact that Elden Ring is on the first place is just that Elden Ring suits myself more at its every characteristic that has, starting from the combat, the story, the playstyle, the world, and more. Elden Ring is the best game from software created, giving us the perfection of a Souls game. Before every Souls game is released on papers, the ideas will not work, but Hidetaka Miyazaki and his team made the impossible, giving us a world in which I was truly lost on it. A huge open world Souls game for the very first time, meaning that you can travel whenever you want from the start, giving you the ability to build your story, your world. Of course, always provided you're up for the combat challenges, but you're still rewarded for careful exploration in the game's many dungeons, cathedrals, and dilapidated villages. A generous, by the development standards at least, equipment upgrading system encourages players to try out more than one type of weapon, and the many weapon arts and spells mean very few builds will ever be the same. Also, you gain the freedom to choose your path even in the combat style, which is, as expected from software, superb. There are always plenty of classes to choose, hundreds of weapons to wield, and of course, many spells for you to use. Remarkably, despite its brutal difficulty and often cryptic storytelling, Elden Ring is the best game of 2022, the best Souls game, and one of the best RPG games, if not the best. It's rare for every gamer to get a game like Elden Ring. Oh yeah, that year was fire on games. I mean, slow down companies, we don't have so much time to play all these games, oh my god. Anyway, I was really happy to see you again after all these days. I hope I managed to give you some opinions on the games and made your day at least. If you truly enjoyed the video, show us some love by subscribing to our channel and following us on social media. Last but not least, I will say it again, I would like to tell me your opinion about the games of 2022 down in the comments. We will meet soon again in the next video. Until then, smile as much as you can, watch Inglorious nerds and have fun a lot. See you soon.